Chapter 41 Visiting Shiweiju. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The little girls at the next table said as they sat down. I told you to hurry up. If I hadn't dragged you to get up, we might have been doomed. One of the girls with a round face said and rolled her eyes. I'm sorry, it's not the weekend. I just wanted to sleep a little longer. Fortunately, I made it in time. A chubby girl sitting next to her blushed and apologized. Hurry up and scan the QR code to order, I can't wait. Another little girl with some baby fat said. When Liu Sen heard the girl say this, he actually heard the sound of swallowing. Come on, I can eat on time this time. Last time I had to queue for 2 hours. But I'm starving to death. Another girl with long hair said. Last time we came here just for lunch. We didn't expect that there would be so many people in this hot pot restaurant that had only been open for a few days. There were no discounts that day, said the girl with a round face. I can only say that this hot pot tastes great. The little girl with some baby fat answered. I've already ordered the food. No, I have to post it on WeChat to show off. That Xiaoli went too far last time. Posting on WeChat made me hungry. Liu Sen did not continue to listen. He could already learn a lot of information from the conversation. Several little girls were probably college students and came to Shiweiju specifically for dinner on weekends. The business of the hot pot restaurant is really good. Normally, you have to queue for 2 hours to order a meal. This shows that Shiweiju's food is delicious and attractive. After all, who would wait for 2 hours for a hot pot if it wasn't attractive enough? Moreover, Liu Sen also recalled in his mind that there were no holidays or promotions some time ago. Seeing the other party's actions also shows that word of mouth has spread, otherwise I wouldn't show off on WeChat moments. After several people finished eating, Liu Sen went to the front desk to check out. The total cost was more than 800. The dishes he ordered were too many. Normally, the average per person for a table should be less than 100. After walking out of Shiweiju, I saw a dark place outside, with people queuing up. They were sitting there one by one, chatting and eating the tea and snacks provided by Shiweiju. I asked the arrival waiter how many tables there were in line now, and the answer he got was that there were 150 tables in line, and we no longer accept queuing in the future. Continuing to understand the specific situation, I learned that everyone in line had registered their mobile phone numbers at the store's guide and followed the WeChat store. Shiweiju will notify the queuing staff 3 tables in advance according to the queuing order, and the notification message will be sent directly to the diner's WeChat. After receiving the message, diners can directly confirm receipt of the message. If they do not want to continue dining, they can directly reply to cancel, and the system will directly notify the next number. If you do not reply, you will default to dining normally. When your number is called, the table will be reserved for 20 minutes. If you arrive normally, you can eat normally. If the table is overtime, the table will no longer be reserved. You will need to make a new appointment and the system will record the number of no-shows. More than 3 times, this person's queue reservation will no longer be accepted within 1 year. All rules are posted at the door of the store, just above the QR code for scanning the reservation. You will also receive these rules after following them on WeChat, and if the time from the time of reservation to the time of calling is more than 2 hours, the price will be calculated normally, and the next consumption can be discounted at 20%. There is no discount at ordinary times. If you encounter Shiweiju's discount promotion next time you come to shop, you can keep the previous opportunity or use the discount. For example, if you are doing a 10% discount, you can get a 22% discount. When Liu Sen saw this, he felt that his brother-in-law and sister's design was good. Of course, this was also their confidence in their own brand. It seems that it won't take long to open a branch. The flow of people in Jinling is really large. If it were in Rongcheng, it would be full. Liu Sen took out his phone and called his sister. Sister, I just went to the store to eat. Asen, why didn't you tell me when you came? I'll show you around. I just came here to go shopping and have a meal, but the business is really good and all aspects are considered very thoughtfully. The main thing is that your secret sauce is good. Your brother-in-law and I made these according to other people's rules. Later, the business was so good that we added some rules ourselves. Well, I think we can open a branch. The customer flow is too great. I've been considering it, and now I'm choosing a new address. There are a few good ones. Is the money enough? Liu Sen thought about how much money he had not been given to open the store. It had only been a short time since the store was opened, so he probably didn't have the money to open a branch. That's enough. We've already taken advantage of you. We've consulted NIU and we can get a loan. When Liu Sen heard this, he stopped talking. After saying a few words, he hung up the phone. On the way back, the women were chatting, and then Jin Shuya asked a question. Did you open that hot pot restaurant we had before? Liu Sen, who was driving, paused and replied after hearing this. Well, my sister and brother-in-law opened it, and I provided the initial capital. When Jin Shuya heard this answer, she didn't know that this must have been done by Liu Senator. She just didn't say it for some reasons, so she didn't ask again. Looking at Liu Sen who was driving seriously, Jin Shuya once again felt his mystery. With so many different industries developing at the same time, it is generally very difficult in the early stages, but the result is very easy. The development momentum of each industry is very good. Okay, and they all have technical advantages that no one else can imitate. The sun shines into the vehicle and hits Liu Sen, making him feel like his whole body is glowing. Soon, several people in the car discussed with Lu the issue of opening a Mulinson milk tea shop in Jinling. There must be no problem with the flow of people. You can ask your brother-in-law about the store rental. After all, their hot pot restaurant was just leased not long ago. I am still inspecting new branches now, so I definitely have some experience in this regard. Liu Sen handed his mobile phone to Lu and asked her to contact her sister and brother-in-law. Lu took her cell phone and dialed her sister's number. Sister, this is Lu. Lu, what's the matter? My sister was confused when she heard Lu's voice and didn't know what she was looking for. His brother should be able to solve any problem. Sister, it's like this. I want to open a milk tea shop in Jinling, and I just want to ask you if you have any rental suggestions. My stores are all through intermediaries or mall managers. I can give you my contact information. You can contact them and tell them your requirements, and they will give you suggestions. Okay, thank you sister. After Lu hung up the phone, Liu Sen received several phone messages on her phone, and she saved the messages in her phone. Back at the underground garage of Liu Sen's house in Rongcheng, Jin Shuya drove back directly. After a few people arrived at home, they began to sort out the things they bought today. In the largest cloakroom, the three women began to sort out the clothes they bought today. Yin Dan, show us the outfit you wore today. We haven't seen it yet. Lu Ying asked after sorting out her clothes and seeing the suspender belt. Yes, I want to see it too. Lu also shouted, holding Yin Dan's arm and shaking it. All right. Yin Dan hesitated for a long time after hearing this. The dress was still too bold and exposed a lot, but because she was at home and in front of her three sisters, she still agreed. They quickly changed their clothes and stood in front of the mirror and spun around. They were really full of energy. Even women who looked at her felt excited and had the urge to hug her into their arms. Lu Ying and Lu looked at each other, and then said to Yin Dan, go and help Brother Sen pack his things. He bought a lot of clothes today. After speaking, without waiting for Yin Dan's consent, the two pushed Yin Dan out of the cloakroom, and then pushed into Liu Sen's room. At this time, Liu Sen was sorting out the clothes and shoes he bought in the room, when he saw Yin Dan entering the room. Chapter 42 Shocking Data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The 2 days of the weekend passed quickly, and the new koji and enzymes were progressing very quickly, and it is estimated that they will be completed in a while. The three girls also kept chatting and communicating in the past 2 days, talking about work, Liu Sen, sports experience and feelings, and laughing non-stop. Early on Monday morning, Liu Sen took Inger and Yin Dan to the glass factory in the new car that had just been delivered over the weekend, while Lu also drove the new car to Jinling to visit the two stores she had contacted by phone. The purchase tax, insurance, license plate, etc. of the new vehicle have all been processed by the 4S store in Jinling. Liu Sen can drive directly on the road after receiving the vehicle. After getting the vehicle, Liu Sen directly used golden fingers to enhance all the new cars driven by several people, believing that the safety could be effectively guaranteed. The several reinforced vehicles are probably no different from armored vehicles when running on the road. Even if there is an accident, there will basically be no safety issues. However, you still have to be careful to avoid colliding with large vehicles filled with cargo. Hongqi HS9 drove into the glass factory, and Liu Sen walked into the scientific research department and started new research. He wanted to transform the technical information he had integrated in the previous 2 days into actual products. Before studying, he took a look at the production of the red glass he had previously requested. Under the leadership of the person in charge, I saw the samples. The overall work was very good, very grand, and the whole body was Chinese red, like a red flame. The second phase of the expanded factory has also been completed, and the new red wine bottles will be produced in the new factory. In the next few days, Liu Sen went out early and came back late, spending all his time in the glass factory. 3 days later, the month finally came to an end, and the sales data for the month that everyone cared about came out. In the temporary conference room of Yijian Liquor, Factory Director Kai Chongqing, Sales Manager Deng Yaluan, Financial Manager Jin Shuya, Human Resources Manager Yin Dan, Assistant General Manager Lu Ying and IT Department Manager Chao Lei all reported on the work of the previous month. As the work was reported, the smiles on everyone's faces became brighter and brighter. In the first month, a total of 2,710 tons of Qing foam wine were produced, and 2,110 tons have been sold. Among them, 2,030 tons are sold domestically and 80 tons are sold abroad. Among the domestic sales, 29 tons were sold to people in the financial system and banking system at a 20% discount, 380 tons were sold to dealers at a 15% discount, and the rest were sold at the original price on the official website, totaling 1,621 tons. Total revenue, 661 million yuan domestically and $4.64 million abroad. There are a total of 276 employees. Employee salary expenditure is 2.7 million, and bonus expenditure is 11.852 million. Raw material costs. A total of 3,000 tons of grain were purchased at a cost of 9.1 million. Wine bottle cost. 6 million bottles were purchased, totaling 60 million yuan. Packaging cost. 60 million. Advertising expenses. 50 million. Vehicle and office expenses. 3.4 million. New production lines and factory buildings cost 50 million, total expenditure, 246.152 million yuan. The profit was less than Liu Sen expected at the beginning. It should be due to the discounts and advertising expenses given at the beginning. After all, the company must think about brand awareness in the initial stage. There is still a lot of money left, and the factory expansion must be completed as soon as possible. There will definitely be new varieties in the future. As sales will increase in the future, more factories and machines will definitely be needed for production. Liu Sen looked at all the data and then put the documents in his hands aside. Last month has ended. Now let's talk about next month's sales plan and production plan. After this month's training, the sales capabilities cultivated this month have been greatly improved, and the previous sales expansion plan is also in progress. Many people are ready and will go to the country in the next few days. Develop markets in various places and build a nationwide sales network, Deng Yaluan said after talking about the progress of the sales team development. The current online sales are very good, accounting for about 80% of our sales data, so we need to continue to strengthen online advertising. The new production line has been ordered and the factory will be completed in half a month. Kai Chongqing reported. The new office building has been completed and is now being renovated. It will be officially put into use on the 1st of next month. Lu Ying reported on the progress of the office building. Liu Sen nodded after hearing this. The office building is a 5-story small building. It has been under construction since the company was established. It has been 2 months and it will finally be put into use. Now the company's offices are in a separate area in the factory building, which is really simple, including this conference room. Liu Sen once again gave instructions, telling Kai Chongqing to pay attention to the progress of the factory buildings and production lines, and to complete the construction 2 months before the Spring Festival, so that enough goods can be prepared to cope with the Spring Festival sales. This must be taken seriously, because this new factory is used to produce high-end liquor shangsake. New products must open up the market during this Spring Festival and squeeze into the high-end market. Entering the high-end market should be a big problem. After all, Qingfeng Liquor already has some reputation, but if the factory is not built and the inventory cannot keep up with sales, then it is a mistake. Yijian Company gives everyone high salaries and bonuses, and everyone is very active in doing things. After all, if the company develops well, they can do better. Finally, Liu Sen thought of one thing, that is, all the wine bottles in his company are made of special material glass. The empty wine bottles after drinking cannot be recycled like other wine bottles, and ordinary recycling bins have no ability to process them. Liu Sen plans to open a flagship store in each place to display their wine and provide customers with a small amount of tasting, and also sell products, because their product types will definitely increase in the future. The flagship store also informed customers to recycle wine bottles. Each wine bottle recycling price of 2 yuan, and shipped back to the glass factory for processing. A special solvent is needed to process this glass bottle, and it can be cast and reused after heating. After the meeting, Liu Sen returned to the glass factory to continue researching new glass. Finally, a week later, the new mobile phone cover and back cover were completed. Looking at the modified pedal mobile phone in my hand, the appearance has increased a lot. It feels very good in my hand, like jade, and the overall look is a bit like gold inlaid jade. No, it should be jade inlaid gold. These mobile phones are newly bought, the latest models, all replaced with new glass covers and back covers, with several colors: Xia Guohong, Yuan Phone blue, lemon yellow, black, white. Each color has transparent, opaque, and a colorless one that is completely transparent like glass. These glasses have many characteristics, and the surface will not leave fingerprints, oil stains, etc. Now this mobile phone is absolutely resistant to falling. Of course, the shell is resistant to falling. If it encounters particularly severe vibration, it will also break, but it is not the shell that is broken, but the internal hardware may be damaged by vibration. For example, if it is dropped from the 5th floor to the 1st floor, there may be no problem with the appearance, but the internal motherboard and camera may be damaged to a certain extent. The whole phone is very warm in the hand, and it will not feel too cold in winter or too hot in summer. It can almost maintain a certain temperature, and because the glass phone case is changed to be thinner and lighter, the signal of the mobile phone will become better, and the call and network speed will become very smooth. After sorting out the relevant materials, I contacted lawyer Wang to help him apply for a patent, and let Yin Dan communicate with the local government to build a factory again to specialize in the production of the newly researched glass, which will be directly hung in Yijian technology. The glass must be soaked in a special solution and processed within 1 minute. If it exceeds the time, it will be fixed and cannot be processed again. In order to start production and sales as soon as possible and build a reputation, Liu Sen got the contact information of Yu Dazue, who was in charge of the consumer BG of Huaban company, through the people in the financial and banking systems who had dinner with him before, including his email address and mobile phone number. Liu Sen did not call directly, but first sent an email containing some performance parameters of the new material cover and back cover, and attached some photos of the real objects. Chapter 43 Taxes. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Liu Sen did not care about these anymore, and once again focused on the construction of several factories. Yijian wine industry once again communicated with the government and got 500 mu of land, plus the previous 600 mu. Although this area is not small, it is still far behind the well-known wine companies. Take Yanghe Winery as an example. They occupy 15,000 mu of land, which is more than 20 times that of Liu Sen Yijian Winery. However, Liu Sen did not expand blindly, just enough for use, and reserved some for possible new projects in the future. Yijian Winery uses the new technology brewing method developed by Liu Sen, which does not require so much space. After all, the wine produced by Yijian Winery does not need to be stored in cellars. The wine backlog is small, and the circulation is fast. Basically, wine can be produced twice a week, and sales are also very fast. Basically, most of the production will be sold, and there will be no financial pressure. Yijian Winery makes full use of 600 mu, optimizes the process again, and the annual output can reach 100,000 tons. It is estimated that more than 3,000 workers will be recruited. This is really the advantage brought by technology. It requires 10 times fewer workers than the normal method of brewing wine. This month is over, and it is time to pay taxes. After a little calculation, it is actually about 145 million yuan to pay, and this is not even the corporate income tax. If it is counted, it will be about 250 million yuan. In this way, the turnover is 700 million yuan, and after paying taxes, there will be 170 million yuan left. This is already very good. After all, there are many types of taxes to pay, including value-added tax 17%, consumption tax, sales 20% plus sales volume *0.5 yuan per gene, urban maintenance and construction tax 7%, education surcharge, stamp duty 0.03%, local education surcharge, about 0.037%, corporate income tax, profit 20%, etc. Liu Sen estimated that the turnover will definitely increase in the future. After all, the factory buildings will increase, the products will become richer, and the output will definitely double again. Even if the increase is not counted, based on the current machines and output, it will cost about 2.5 to 4 billion yuan in taxes a year. If you don't count, you won't know. According to a rough calculation, the tax paid by Yijian Liquor alone is equivalent to nearly half of Rongqing's fiscal revenue last year. I can't imagine it. Fortunately, I haven't paid taxes yet. At present, only the company's senior management knows about this situation. However, although they know the turnover, they probably haven't thought about it carefully, thinking about the comparison between taxes and Rongqing. After all, Rongqing is a small city in the 13th tier, it's not a big city like Jinling. Rongqing's annual GDP in 2020 is only about 67 billion. In this way, Yijian is definitely the largest enterprise in Rongqing, and the GDP created is estimated to be unimaginable in Rongqing. This can be calculated based on the current equipment and output. When the new factory and assembly line are completed, plus other enterprises and projects in the later stage, will the GDP generated by his company catch up with the entire city? Although he knows that the wine will definitely sell well, this is something he has never thought about. Liu Sen called Jin Shuya and discussed the taxation issue in the simple office. Jin Shuya also gave a lot of tax avoidance suggestions, such as adding a new sales company, engaging in related transactions, or registering overseas companies to avoid taxes. These ideas are really bad. Liu Sen thought about it and rejected it directly. He can say that he is not short of money and does not need to do these things at all. His future business profits will be very high. Because of his ability, he will make the company pay more taxes and make his hometown, city, and country better and richer, which will make him feel more fulfilled. After all, for him, reducing some taxes means paying less hundreds of millions or billions, which is a small amount of money for him, and this is still in the early stage. When the new enterprise is established later, the enterprise will have more income than it can use up, and there will be more surplus to expand production. He will vigorously improve the treatment of employees so that all employees can live happily. Now it is the end of October, and we can wait until the end of January to pay all taxes in one lump sum, which is exactly 1 quarter, and we will also purchase a lot of assets to expand the factory before the end of the year. This money can greatly increase development. He wants to build a personal laboratory. The one at home is too simple and can only do some simple research. The research room in the winery is basically for researching wine products. It is necessary to build a comprehensive laboratory, and the cost of this aspect is not small. Moreover, this laboratory will be independent, and all the technologies developed in the later stage will be authorized to various companies for use and charged. Liu Sen still needs to find someone to refer to his ideas in this regard. In this regard, he can directly ask Jin Shuya's father, Uncle Jin. Through the last party, it can be seen that Uncle Jin is not simple. You can consult him. Moreover, it takes a lot of approval to build your own laboratory, otherwise many instruments and chemicals are not authorized to be purchased. Looking at Jin Shuya in front of him, he said directly to her. Shuya, has Uncle Jin been on a business trip recently? He should be home for dinner tonight. She was a little confused when she heard Liu Sen ask about her father. This was the first time he asked about her father directly through her. If it was someone else, she would definitely ignore it, but Liu Sen was different. He was not only her boss, but also a friend, and he had a good relationship with his father. "Oh, then I'll go to your house with you later," Liu Sen said to Jin Shuya after confirming that Uncle Jin was at home in the evening. Ah! Jin Shuya blushed after hearing this. Although she and Liu Sen have been getting along well recently, Liu Sen is very strong in both work ability and personal charm, and his father has mentioned many times at home that she can have more contact with Liu Sen in private. Liu Sen wants to go back with her directly. He is not interested in her, but it is not to the extent of meeting her parents. After all, they are just ordinary friends now. Three special people suddenly appeared in her mind. The three people are not worse than her in all aspects. I don't know what kind of blessing Liu Sen is. He can gather around him. She also learned that these three people had a good impression of each other before Liu Sen became rich and have been together for more than 2 years, and through contact, she did not reject or look down on these three people. The three people are too charming. When she was abroad, many rich second-generation students who studied abroad played more colorfully, but she despised them very much and stayed away from them. The people she finally contacted were all very good in character and ability, just like the people who cooperated with the Lighthouse country this time. They were all her friends, capable and good people, so they were able to open up the market there so quickly. Liu Sen looked at Jin Shuya and was stunned after listening to what he said, and he couldn't help but feel a little strange. After such a long time of contact, Jin Shuya always gave him the impression of being elegant and generous, with strong working ability and very comfortable contact in life. "Shuya, Shuya." Liu Sen called a few times again in a low voice, and then Jin Shuya came back to her senses and coughed a few times in embarrassment. "Are you going now?" Jin Shuya, who came back to her senses, blurted out a sentence. "Go after get off work. I have always wanted to visit Uncle Jin, but I have never had time. This time, the monthly data is out, so I just want to go and see it. I also want to consult Uncle Jin about something." Liu Sen looked at Jin Shuya in confusion. Chapter 44, The Jin Family Discusses Affairs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jin Shuya retracted all her thoughts and said, "I'll call my dad and talk to him." Then he walked out of Liu Sen's office and sat in his own office, thinking about his gaffe just now. It was so inappropriate and completely different from his usual style. After calming down for a while, he dialed his father's phone number. He was quickly connected to the phone, and there was laughter from the other end. "Shuya, why did you call me?" "Dad, Liu Sen wants to go home with me tonight to visit you and ask for some advice." "No problem. Did you say you were consulting about something?" "I haven't said it, but it should be related to the 1-month operating data we just released. It's a bit shocking. You can ask Liu Sen for the details." "I can't say now." Although he is his father, Jin Shuya did not disclose the data. "This little cotton-padded jacket doesn't keep you warm at all." Akira Kanazawa joked. Akira Kanazawa knows that the sales of Edian liquor are very hot now, and he has contributed a lot in this and recommended it to many people. The sales data for 1 month should be pretty good. Although he was a little curious about the specific number, he didn't ask further. He also did not use his authority to check the balance of the corporate account opened in their bank. Kanazawa believed that if he asked Liu Sen, he would definitely tell him. "Tell Liu Sen that you will come home for dinner tonight and I will ask your mother to cook more of her specialty dishes." After hanging up the phone, Jin Shuya did not go to Liu Sen's office again. Instead, she directly sent a message telling Liu Sen that she had already told her family. Liu Sen printed out a copy of the relevant monthly information in the office and prepared to go to Uncle Jin's place at night to show it to Uncle Jin. He was not worried about leakage. Because Jin Shuya already knew the financial data, the other party would definitely be able to check it if they wanted to. Of course, Liu Sen also believed that Jin Shuya and Uncle Jin would not do this, so there is really no need to cover up, and when consulting some things, you definitely need to refer to the current business conditions. Time passed quickly. After get off work, Liu Sen asked Luang and Ying Dan to go home directly, and he left the winery with Jin Shuya. When they got there, they found out that Jin Shuya's family actually lived in a well-known community in Rongcheng. The community environment was not bad, and the house was a stacked villa, but it was not as big as the one he lived in. But if you think about it, you will know that his house was modified by Goldfinger and is absolutely unique. The first floor alone has nearly 1,000 square meters, and the rooftop above also has nearly 800 square meters. It can be said to be a mansion, but it is not a self-built house for the family. The 32-story building he is in is the highest in the entire Rongcheng, and with the tallest high-rise building in Rongcheng, it is definitely a panoramic view of the mountains. It can be said that there are not many large flat houses in the country that are bigger than the one he lives in. After parking the car, I followed Jin Shuya through the door and saw Uncle Jin sitting in the living room drinking tea, while Jin Shuya's mother was busy in the kitchen. "Asen, this is your first time here. I've been looking forward to it for a long time." Kanazawa warmly greeted Liu Sen and sat down. "Uncle Jin, haven't I been busy? Now the company has achieved some results. As soon as the data came out, I came to report." Uncle Jin can be said to be his noble man. He is very helpful in recruiting personnel, loans, introduction to sales channels, connections, etc. Liu Sen put down a box of wine he was carrying. This wine was a small batch of high-quality sake he produced on a trial basis. The new generation of koji and enzymes are not very stable yet. This was an accidental batch. It would be difficult to make it again. It failed, but it is estimated that it should be repeated in another week at most. Once the construction of the new factory building and assembly line is completed, it can be put into production. Jin Shuya went into the kitchen to help her mother. "It must be very busy to start such a big business. I heard that your wine sales are good." "The sales are good, thanks to Uncle Jin. You introduced a lot of customers last time." Liu Sen sincerely thanked him, because their wine was not famous at first, and the first batch of wines were all secured by those customers, but they were all high-end customers, and they played a big role in subsequent sales, and their reputation spread later. "That's because the quality of your wine is really good. If you still have any difficulties, you can tell me. We can still solve some things." Akira Kanazawa inquired and found out that Liu Sen was indeed a talent that he valued very much. He was very capable and looked like a talented person, so he asked his daughter to work for him. Otherwise, he would have entered a top 500 company in the world with his connections and his daughter's abilities. There is definitely no problem in being a mid to high-level person. Letting Jin Shuya go is also optimistic about the development, and also wants her daughter to have more contact with Liu Sen to see if there can be a spark between the two. It would be best to be together. He knew very well that if the family forcefully arranged emotional matters, it would definitely not work, and the old man at home would definitely not agree. At that time, he did not want to rely on his family, so he joined the army. After returning from the army, he relied on his own ability to become the bank president. "There is no difficulty. I just want to consult on some issues. You should have experience." Liu Sen expressed his thoughts directly. "Okay, you say it." Kanazawa agreed without any surprise. Just when Liu Sen was about to voice his doubts, a word came that made him swallow back what he was about to say. "Come, it's time to eat." Jin Shuya's mother's voice came from the restaurant. "Well, let's eat first." Jin Ziming said to Liu Sen with a smile, then stood up and walked to the kitchen. Liu Sen followed behind and walked into the restaurant. He saw a woman who was a little older than Jin Shuya. Although she was wearing home clothes and an apron, she was not wearing makeup, but she revealed elegance and maturity. She looked only in her early 30s. Standing with Jin Shuya, those who didn't know would definitely think they were sisters. With a smile on her face, she looked at Liu Sen and nodded with a smile, saying, "Ah Sen, it's your first time here, don't be polite, just treat it as your own home." "Auntie, then I won't be polite, and you are really young, you look like Shuya's sister." Liu Sen said immediately. "You are so sweet." Auntie's smile became even more sweet. "And now I finally know why Shuya is so beautiful." Liu Sen added another sentence. Jin Ziming and Jin Shuya watched the conversation between the two and were also very happy. Come and have some wine. This is your company's wine. Jin Ziming put the wine glasses in place, took out a bottle of Qingfeng from the wine cabinet on the side and placed it on the dining table. Since Qingfeng wine was launched, he has been drinking this wine at home. Wait a minute, Uncle Jin, drink what I brought today. Seeing Uncle Jin's actions, Liu Sen immediately stopped his next move, walked directly to the living room, moved the box of sake he brought before to the dining room, and then began to unpack. Jin Ziming saw Liu Sen's actions and was full of questions. He couldn't help asking, aren't all the wines the same? They are all Qingfeng wine from your company. Why should I drink what you brought? That he saw the box of wine when Liu Sen entered the door, but he didn't care. Anyway, it must be the wine produced by Liu Sen's company. He has been drinking that wine recently. Uncle Jin, please take a closer look. Liu Sen did not explain directly, but asked Jin Ziming to take a closer look. Chapter 45 New Products and Strategies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jin Ziming knew that there must be something special when he heard Liu Sen say that, so he couldn't help but take a closer look. Sure enough, the packaging box was a little different. There was a faint shadow of a mountain on the front of the box, and there was a Taoist temple on it. It was the same as Qingfeng wine, the only difference was that the name was Shangqing. Is this Shangqing a new product you launched? Jin Ziming was a little unsure. After all, Yidian Winery has only been open for more than a month, and Qingfeng wine is very popular. Is there a new wine now? Yes, this is what I just developed in the past 2 days, and it was just brewed yesterday. Jin Shuya also looked at it with interest. Although she knew that the company had recently expanded the factory and was preparing to launch new wine, she didn't expect that this one had already been produced and was right in front of her. After Liu Sen opened the carton, he took out a carton inside. The design of the entire wine box was the same as Qingfeng, but the color was light red. The entire mountain pattern was also a gradient red, and the Taoist temple was bright red. The wine box was still very simple, without any other anti-counterfeiting design. After opening it, the bottle was a red and transparent sphere, which was very beautiful. It was placed on the dining table with the base. It looked like a flame, much more beautiful and majestic than Qingfeng wine. Come on, Uncle Jin, try it. I'll fill it up for you. Liu Sen directly filled Jin Ziming's glass with wine. Jin Ziming didn't say anything more. The moment the wine was opened, the aroma of the wine emanated, and it smelled much stronger than Shangqing wine. He took a sip of the wine, and his eyes lit up instantly. Then he drank it all in one gulp, closing his eyes and savoring it. Good wine. Jin Ziming thought Shangqing wine was already very good, but he didn't expect that this Shangqing was even more amazing. The previous Qingfeng wine was so unique, and it was already very good at that price, not much worse than the general 600 or 700. Now this Shangqing wine is more mellow when you drink it. After drinking it, you feel that it is hotter than Qingfeng wine, but it is very soft, with the feeling of getting better and better, from warm to hot and then from hot to cold. The coolness is not ice, but a feeling in your heart, a feeling of forgetting troubles, and then a warm feeling emerges. It is also as gentle as jade and a modest gentleman. This is completely different from the feeling of Qingfeng wine. Qingfeng wine feels more suitable for young people, while Shangqing is definitely suitable for people with rich life experience. Of course, young people will feel good when drinking it a lot. Jin Ziming himself absolutely likes Shangqing wine and likes that feeling. Asen, you are really a genius. How do you make this kind of wine and this feeling? Jin Ziming did not hesitate to praise. Uncle Jin, I'm glad you like it. It means that my wine is successful. You are the first person to taste this wine besides me. Liu Sen said happily. Asen, pour a glass for your aunt and Shuya to try, and listen to their opinions. Okay. Liu Sen stood up, poured a glass for aunt and Shuya, and then filled it up for Jin Ziming again. Aunt Jin and Jin Shuya took a small sip, and then drank it all. It's really good, it makes people feel better after drinking it. Well, the taste is simply indescribable, very good. Hearing what the two said, Liu Sen was also happy, and filled a glass for the two again, and poured a glass for himself. "Uncle Jean, Aunt, this glass is for you." Liu Sen drank it all directly. "I just brewed some of this Shangqing wine at home. The factory has not produced it yet, but it should be soon. It is estimated that it will be mass-produced in a month or so after the factory is built. Nowadays, more and more families drink high-end wine at banquets and during the New Year, and this wine is designed to welcome the Spring Festival and impact high-end wine. And the red color of the wine bottle is also for festive occasions, which makes it look more high-end and atmospheric." Liu Sen introduced this wine and its market positioning. Uncle Jean nodded. "The positioning of this wine is indeed very good, and the taste is unique. Anyone who has drunk it will definitely remember it deeply. It's just that I haven't thought about the price yet. I wonder if Uncle Jean can give some advice?" Liu Sen asked. "This wine is undoubtedly a high-end wine. There is no problem with the price benchmarking Guomao. The taste is better than Guomao, but your winery is not well known, and many people dare not try it. Your factory has just opened for a short time. Although Qingfeng wine sells very well, people have known it for too short a time and it has not settled in people's hearts. It can only be regarded as a low-end wine. It is not easy for people to accept the high price of Shangqing wine. People who have drunk your wine will definitely not let it go, so there must be an entry point. It can be priced at 1,688 yuan. This year, it is sold at a special price of 688 yuan per bottle. After the evening, the price will be restored to the original price. With Qingfeng liquor in the past, this price is still acceptable. As long as some people buy it and taste it, more people will buy it. With the reputation, it will be no problem for you to raise the price later. After all, I believe that anyone who has tasted Shangqing liquor knows that this price is absolutely worth it, and it is very, very worthwhile. In this way, it will be no problem to return to the original price later. And you can also use the slogan this year. Thanks to everyone's love this year, the newly opened Yijian liquor industry has achieved good results. In order to give back to everyone, the new high-end liquor is welcoming the new year with special discounts." After listening to this, Liu Sen suddenly felt enlightened and learned a lot. When thinking about the performance of Yijian wine industry this month, the next few months will definitely be even more explosive. Once the tax is paid in January, such a large amount of tax revenue will definitely become a hot topic as long as it is hyped a little. Then it will be announced and the new wine will be launched to give back to customers and sold at a discount. "Uncle Jean, your suggestion is great. Let me toast you another glass." Liu Sen raised his glass again, then everyone chatted about daily meals and the atmosphere was very good. In the study, Jean Ziming and Liu Sen sat on the sofa. Jean Shuya made a pot of tea for them and walked out. "Asen, I hope Shuya hasn't caused you any trouble during this period." "Uncle, you are too polite. Shuya is one of my generals and has helped me a lot. She is in charge of the company's finances, so I can concentrate on research. She is capable, but she needs more practice. Uncle Jean, here are some data of our company this month. After you read it, I will tell you my thoughts." Liu Sen took out the company's operating data printed in the afternoon from the briefcase he brought and handed it to Jean Ziming. Jean Ziming looked at the document in front of him and hesitated for a moment. After all, this is a company secret, but thinking of his relationship with Liu Sen, this also shows Liu Sen's trust in him. He took a few sheets of paper, glanced at them, and his expression changed instantly. He was a little surprised and started to read them carefully from the beginning again. A few minutes later, Jean Ziming let out a long breath, adjusted his sitting posture, glanced at Liu Sen who was sitting on the side, and spoke after a while. "These data are all true." Liu Sen nodded affirmatively to confirm. "It's really amazing. It's only been created for a month." Jean Ziming immediately exclaimed after receiving a positive reply. Chapter 46 Confirm the Publicity Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although Jean Ziming thought that the enterprise founded by Liu Sen had good potential, He also learned from the contacts introduced to Liu Sen that the sales performance was good and the reputation was also very good, but he never expected it to be so amazing, much higher than the sales performance he expected before. Originally, he thought that a monthly sales of 10 or 20 million at most would be very good, so that it could be ranked in Rongcheng, but he didn't expect the final data to be dozens of times what he imagined, which directly reached the ceiling of Rongcheng Enterprises. No, it's not the ceiling, it's to create another Rongcheng GDP. If it continues to develop like this, including the upcoming Shangqing wine, Yijian wine industry will definitely be ranked in the country, and it can be ranked in the top 5. Other wine companies have worked hard for decades or even hundreds of years to achieve such results. If people know it now, they will doubt their lives. You guys are really good at keeping it secret. No one has noticed that you have grown so big. Uncle Jean, this will be exposed soon. After all, once you pay taxes, many people will know about it. That's true. You paid too much tax. It's because your company is just starting up and not many people are paying attention to it. So I want to wait until the tax is paid, and then do some operations. The company's reputation will definitely explode. At this time, I will launch Shangqing wine, give back to customers, and sell at a discount. This is really good. It's much better than direct discounts. At least there is a legitimate reason. Asen, I saw that your wine has been sold abroad. Jean Ziming asked after seeing the data and foreign income. Uncle Jean, this is all thanks to Shuya's lead. Liu Sen told Jean Ziming the cause and effect of this matter. After listening, Jean Ziming showed a gratified expression on his face. Shuya is still very useful when studying abroad. Jean Shuya is studying abroad, and Jean Ziming is very afraid that she will learn bad things abroad. He has several friends whose children have returned from abroad and have many bad habits. Asen, wait until the end of this quarter before paying the tax. After all, your tax payment will definitely cause a great impact. Your company has just started, and you need more development and lay a good foundation. If it is exposed now, it will arouse the vigilance of other wine companies, and they will definitely target your Yijian wine industry. Jean Ziming thought for a while and warned. Okay, I know. Although Liu Sen is not afraid of competition from other companies, because his company has a high technological content, core competitiveness, and very strong barriers, it is definitely better to have less trouble. Wouldn't it be nice to save some time to deal with troubles and use it for research and playing games with girls? Do you have more of that Shangqing wine? Jean Ziming asked. Because it has not been officially produced yet, there is only a batch I brewed for trial, about 100 bottles. Well, if you have no other use for these, give them all to me. The reason why Jean Ziming wanted it was not because he wanted to drink it, but because he wanted to send some to the elderly at home. The elderly at home like to drink, but now the high alcohol content is not suitable for the elderly. Now this Shangqing wine is just right, with a low alcohol content and a very good taste. Although the previous Qingfeng wine is good, it still lacks something. This can also better help Liu Sen to make a name for himself in the upper class. After all, he knows the character of the elderly at home very well, and he will definitely show off to those old friends. No problem, I will send it tomorrow. Liu Sen agreed without thinking. By the way, uncle, this wine is different from Qingfeng wine in that the taste of Qingfeng wine will improve over time within 3 years, up to 3 years. However, the taste of this wine is still a little less than that of Shangqing wine, while Shangqing wine will improve over time within 5 years, up to 5 years, and will light up 5 golden stars. You really have a good brain, and this design is also very good. 5 golden 5-pointed stars in the red sphere of China, this meaning is very good. Liu Sen told Jean Ziming about his previous idea of building a personal laboratory, wanting to hear his ideas. The answer he got also made Liu Sen very happy. In fact, this cannot be regarded as an independent laboratory, but only a laboratory affiliated with the company. It is all for internal project experiments and research. As long as the company does a good job in the project approval related to the operation, it can purchase a lot of materials. Of course, some restricted materials are still difficult to buy, and if there is a separate demand, a separate application must be submitted. I am also very happy that Liu Sen wants to put such an important research laboratory in Rongcheng. After all, this will definitely attract many high-level talents. Many companies set up their research centers in economic centers or academic centers, which makes it easier to recruit talents. Jin Ziming said that he would communicate with the government departments first, and believed that they would strongly support Liu Sen's ideas. The two talked a lot, including the future economic trend, the future of industry, and the future of Rongcheng. Many of Liu Sen's views were praised by Jin Ziming, and through chatting, he also learned about his love for this country. Soon it was midnight, and Liu Sen slept in the guest room for a night under the strong persuasion of the family. The next morning, Lu Ying and Yin Dan drove to the community, followed by a van. Liu Sen called the two last night and asked them to deliver the wine here in the morning. At this time, Liu Sen had already finished washing up, and walked out of the villa after receiving Lu Ying's call. At this time, he saw the two women just getting out of the car. "Master, please move a dozen more boxes of wine in," Lu Ying said to the van driver who was following them after getting off the bus. "Inger, Yin Dan, you two have worked hard." Liu Sen stepped forward and said to the two of them, "Brother Sen, it's not hard." The two of them smiled in unison. After all the transportation was completed, the freight master left, and Inger and Yin Dan were also invited to have breakfast together. "Uncle Jean, the wine is all here. You can handle it. There is only so much for now," Liu Sen said to Jin Ziming. "That's enough. I'm just sending it to my family to promote it and make you famous." Akira Kanazawa smiled and said that he just gave some to the old man at home, but he still had to rely on the old man for publicity. Soon after finishing the meal, Liu Sen's cell phone rang. He took a look, suddenly his face lit up, and said to Inger and Yin Dan, "I'll just book a flight to Dongguan or Shenzhen in the afternoon, and the three of us will go together." Liu Sen gave Lu Ying instructions, then turned to Jin Ziming and said apologetically, "Uncle Jean, there's something going on at the company, so I'll leave first. If you have something to do, go ahead and get busy." Shuya, the company's taxes will be paid at the end of this quarter. Also, help me calculate the taxes I have to pay personally. I will also pay them at the end of the year, including the money I earned from gambling on stones last time. When Liu Sen was about to leave, he suddenly thought of something, stopped immediately, and said to Jin Shuya, "Don't worry, I will take care of everything." Jin Shuya replied decisively, "These are small things and the solution is very simple." Liu Sen, Yin Dan, and Lu Ying drove directly back to the house and entered the house. "You all pack your clothes and daily necessities. We are going to Petal Company and we should spend a lot of time there. After you pack your clothes, help me pack them too. I still have some things to deal with." When he entered the house, he faced the second daughter. Said, after hearing Liu Sen's words, the two women responded and went back to their rooms to pack their things. Liu Sen walked into the studio, printed out some information, and put some samples away in boxes. "This decision was made because I received a reply to my mobile phone mailbox in the morning, and Yu Dazue from Huaban Company replied to the email." Chapter 47 Responses from Other Wine Companies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yu Dazue said in his email that he was looking forward to their company's new materials and technologies, but he needed to see the samples before deciding whether to cooperate, and said that if the materials and technologies were confirmed to be true, their company could provide a lot of help. It is estimated that Huaban Company has investigated the Yijian Materials Company and knows that this company has just been registered, so it is afraid that there will be some difficulties. Liu Sen took out the last two boxes of Shangqing wine and sent them to the car before returning to the room again. At this time, the two women were still packing up. The women were really slow to pack up. Seeing that there was still a lot of time, Liu Sen did not urge them. He went straight back to the studio to continue his research. The progress of the second-generation Koji and enzyme research was about to be completed. Now the synthesis was not stable and there was a chance of failure. Maybe the best solution could be found in the next synthesis. Liu Sen did not want to waste any time. Time passed quickly. With the addition of the last drop of reagent, the high temperature and high pressure were changed again, and then the synthesis was completed. The reaction was very fast. Seeing the successful koji at one time, the experiment was carried out again in the second environment. There was no problem and it was completed again. Liu Sen looked at the koji and enzyme in the container in front of him and smiled happily. He finally finished it. This time it is replicable and can be industrially produced. Although some were brewed before, they could not be industrially mass-produced. The production cost would be too high, which would lead to lower profits. Liu Sen put away the container and came to the computer on the side. He entered all the data of number 2 koji and type B enzyme into the computer and encrypted the data. The computer in the studio is not connected to the internet, and Liu Sen also encrypted all the data. He learned a lot of programming and encryption knowledge, and the program he wrote was also modified with gold fingers, which others could not decipher at all. The walls and doors on this side of the studio are specially made, and ordinary people cannot enter. After leaving the studio and returning to the room, he saw 2 women packing things for him. One was picking clothes in the closet, and the other folded the selected clothes and put them in the suitcase. The scene was very warm, just like his wife was doing housework for her. Liu Sen, who had just finished his research, was even more excited when he saw this scene. He walked up and kissed her a few times. When he realized that he was attacked, he stretched out his fist to Liu Sen and then started to play. Beautiful music was resounding in the room. An hour later, the sound of shower came from the bathroom. On the way to the airport, Liu Sen drove his Hongqi HS9 and saw that the remaining power of the car was 2,333 kilometers. He didn't have to worry about the power at all, entered the airport parking lot and parked the car returned to 223 kilometers again. He was away for a long time this time. If the car was stolen, it would cause a lot of trouble. In the waiting room, Liu Sen called Lu, who was decorating the store in Jinling. Lu Ing, Dan and I are going to Huaban company on a business trip for a while. You take care of yourself at home. I know, Brother Sen, I will miss you. Lu, who was busy, answered the call. The two chatted for a while before hanging up the phone. When it was time to check the tickets, several people boarded the plane to Guangzhou, and the 2 boxes of wine and other luggage had already been checked in. Liu Sen had checked it out long before. Wine can be checked in, but there are several regulations. Point 1. Wines with an alcohol content of more than 70 degrees cannot be checked in or carried. Point 2. The total amount of wine with an alcohol content of more than 24 degrees, excluding 24 degrees, and less than 70 degrees, including 70 degrees, cannot exceed 5 liters. 3. If the alcohol content is less than 24 degrees, including 24 degrees, there is no restriction on check-in. 4. Homemade wine and bulk wine are not allowed to be checked in. Liu Sen brought low-alcohol wines, and they were produced by regular enterprises and were not restricted. Several people got on the plane and waited to fly to the destination, Yanghe Winery, General Manager's office. Mr. Li, there is a tenfold wine that is quite popular online recently, and the sales are good. Oh, which factory launched it? Guamao, Julianjai, or Hearthstone? Mr. Li, none of them. I checked the information. Tenfold wine is produced by Yidian Wine Industry, which has just been established for about 2 months. Like us, it is from Jiangnan province. Old Gong, have you ever tasted it? How does it taste? After I learned about it, I bought a box from their official website. The taste is very good and it can compete with our high-end brands. It is also very smooth to the mouth. When Mr. Li heard his sales director Gong Xiang report here, he finally began to take it seriously. His face became serious, he adjusted his sitting posture, and asked uncertainly. Old Gong, is it so exaggerated that a wine from a new winery can compete with our high-end wine? Yes, this conclusion was jointly reached by our company's sales and wine tasters. Although Gong Xiang didn't want to admit it, he gave Mr. Liu a positive answer. Anything else? Let me try it too. After listening to it, Mr. Li felt that the company's group of people should not be wrong, but he still wanted to taste it himself to confirm. Okay, I'll go get it. Gong Xiang walked out of the office quickly and quickly took out a bottle of unopened tenfold wine. Mr. Li, come and take a look. this is the wine. He handed the tenfold wine in his hand to Mr. Li. Mr. Li took a closer look. There was nothing special about the outer packaging. It was very simple. What was more peculiar was that the wine box was actually a bit flat, which should not be the normal slender bottle. Without thinking any more, he started to unpack, took out the spherical wine bottle and placed it on the square base. The bottle design is very unique, nice. Gong Xiang was about to come up and open the bottle and pour the wine for Mr. Li, but his action was stopped by Mr. Li. Mr. Li wanted to experience the whole process himself, so he unscrewed the lid, picked up the wine bottle and started pouring the wine into the prepared wine glass. Ding 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 made a crisp and pleasant sound when pouring the wine. Mr. Li saw that it was the sound of the small ball in the wine bottle hitting the bottle body, and the small ball had the word tenfold on it. As the wine was poured out, Mr. Li's face became more and more solemn, because he had already smelled the aroma of the wine, which was fragrant but not irritating, and felt very elegant, which made people feel very relaxed. After putting the bottle away, Mr. Li picked up the wine and began to evaluate it. After a set of processes, Mr. Li closed his eyes and felt it for a while before opening his eyes. The person who brewed this wine is a genius. This wine has taken a new path. Old Gong, see if you can acquire this company. After all, they have just been open for a few months. If you disagree with the acquisition, you can invest in it with our company's sales channels and funds. And I will let Vice President Zhou deal with this matter with you. Okay, I'm going to go now. Gong Xiang responded and walked out of the office. Similar things are happening in the office of Hearthstone Wine Industry. The solution given is to acquire or purchase related brewing technology. Other wine companies have not paid attention to Yijian wine industry for the time being because they are too far away. After all, tenfold wine has only been on the market for a month. Yijian's sales channels have not yet radiated that far. Although some people have purchased a batch through the internet, it is still relatively small. Has it caused any impact on the sales of these wine companies? In addition, some companies are very proud of their sauce-flavored technology, and they will not care too much even if they hear about tenfold wine. Chapter 48 First Arrival at Huaban Company. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the plane landed, Liu Sen and the other two took the high-speed rail directly to Dongguan. After getting off the train, they went directly to the booked hotel to rest. After Liu Sen arrived in Dongguan, he called Yudazue again and arranged a meeting time. The phone number was still the one he got from the financial system before, but he didn't have any relationship before and it was not easy to call rashly, so he sent an email to contact first. Now that the email was contacted and there was a reply, Liu Sen called. In the business suite, Lu Eng and Yin Dan had collapsed on the sofa and didn't want to move. They were very tired after running around for a day. It was really tiring to take a plane, especially for several of them who were traveling at short notice. When booking tickets, there were no business class tickets, so they could only buy economy class tickets. Liu Sen sat on the sofa and started packing his luggage. He didn't want to go out for dinner. It's not that he was afraid of being tired, there was nothing wrong with his physique, but Lu Eng and Yin Dan really couldn't do it. Not only were they tired from the journey, but also partly because of the exercise before the trip. They used a lot of effort, picked up the phone and dialed the service desk. After a few rings, the call was connected. Hello, what food do you have here? That the other party introduced a lot, basically some set meals, including Chinese and Western food. Just send me 3 set meals of 1,999 yuan. Half an hour later, 3 meals were delivered, and they quickly finished eating and rested. The next day, under the building of Huaban Company, Liu Sen and his 3 friends arrived at the gate. Soon, they contacted Yudazue through the front desk. After several people waited in the reception room for a while, Yudazue came. Mr. Liu, hello, welcome to Huaban Company. Mr. Yu, it's an honor. After shaking hands and greeting, the two began to get down to business. Mr. Yu, I believe you have already understood our intention. We have brought the finished product, you can also take a look. After Liu Sen finished speaking, he asked Yin Dan to hand over the password box he brought. Liu Sen entered the password to open the box. After the box was opened, there were 2 rows of fixed items inside, 1 row of mobile phone covers and back shells of different colors, and the other row of Huaban mobile phones with corresponding colors using the upper cover and back shell. Liu Sen pushed the opened box in front of Yu Dazue and pointed at it. Mr. Yu, these are the real objects mentioned in the email, and there are also modified ones using your mobile phones. Yu Dazue saw the samples in the box in front of him and showed a very surprised expression. It's so beautiful, with various colors, like crystal. He picked up the mobile phone he was very familiar with. This is 840. The shell has been replaced, and the feel is better and lighter. It is really a work of art, and it feels very warm in the hand. After turning on the screen, sliding it is very smooth, which feels better than the original cover. The feel is really great. He doesn't know how familiar he is with 840. It is engraved in his memory, and he definitely doesn't have such a feeling. The weight is also much lighter, maybe just a few dozen grams less, but the original phone is only 212G, which is a few dozen grams less, but it is directly 1/10 less on the original basis, and this phone has become thinner, which should not be an illusion, but this is the entire back cover replaced with glass. Not a layer of metal and glass back cover, this one is thinner. How can the glass support it? Glass is very easy to break. This pure glass is very easy to break. This is a problem for the entire industry. And even the current metal plus glass is very easy to break. Could this be a new glass material? The performance data in the email are all true. Yu Dazue stopped looking at the phone. He put the phone back, took out one of the covers, looked at it carefully, and touched it manually. It feels very good, without a trace of fingerprints. Thinking of the data in the email, it said that it is very tough and it is impossible for human power to leave marks and break, and he couldn't help but look at Liu Sr. Mr. Liu, can I test this toughness? Liu Sen smiled and said to Yu Dazue. Mr. Yu, you can test it as you like. I brought it here for you to test it with real objects. Otherwise, you will definitely not believe it when you see the data. Yu Dazue heard Liu Sen's reply and couldn't help showing a trace of embarrassment. He received the email and saw the data and did not trust it, because the data is really amazing. It can be called black technology. How can there be such glass? But his personal email information is not public, and those who can send emails to his email are all familiar people in the industry. The fact that the email can be sent to his email means that the other party should also have some connections. So he politely replied to the email and needed to see the sample. Yu Dazue's initial view now has some feelings in his heart. This may really be true. The performance may not be as amazing as in the email, but it should not be too bad. It is definitely several generations ahead of the market. Yu Dazue held the cover with both hands and began to apply force to bend the cover. At first, he did not dare to use too much force, but it did not affect the cover at all, and it did not move at all. He began to gradually increase his strength, almost using 80% of his strength, and the cover was just slightly bent. If you don't pay attention, you may not feel the curvature. You must know that the cover is very thin. Normally, the cover on the market can be broken with only 10% or 20% of his strength, but this one is still fine even with 80%. He didn't dare to use all his strength, in case it broke. If there were fragments flying after such a strong force, it would be very dangerous. There was no further testing. Yu Dazue was very satisfied with this. It was definitely a big selling point for their mobile phones. Mr. Liu, your product is really great, but the specific data needs to be tested more professionally. Do you think it's okay? No problem, we brought it here for you to test. Yu Dazue was very happy to hear Liu Sen's answer. He immediately called the head of the technical department and arranged for someone to do professional testing. The few people chatted a lot more, and it was soon noon. Yu Dazue invited Liu Sen and the other 2 to try their cafeteria. Liu Sen immediately said that their cafeteria had been famous for a long time and was very willing to try it. Soon, the few people sat down. There were indeed too many kinds of food. They ordered a lot of dishes, which were very rich. It was Yu Dazue who swiped the card. The 4 of them spent a total of more than 100 yuan. It was really rich. Eating such dishes outside would cost at least 200 or 300 yuan. Liu Sen didn't order too many dishes, because he didn't want to waste them if he couldn't finish them. Liu Sen ate them and thought they tasted really good. It seems that the rumors on the internet were true. Lu Ying and Yin Dan have become picky eaters now. They usually eat at home and the seasonings they use are all modified by Liu Sen's golden finger. Even so, they still think they taste good.